Ciao, guys. Welcome back to the ARTFUL Podcast. It's Matteo, your host. And before we go on with the new episode, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, support the channel like that. It's really important. And no further ado, let's go on with the show.
How are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Kaan?
Very good.
Thank you to be part of this project.
No problem. Happy to join.
Happy to share your experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, you heard the what the project is about. I explained to Lucy and to you. So yeah, should we just jump straight away into it? Perfect.
Yes, let's do it.
So just from the beginning, who is Kaan, where he's from, background, and then we take it from there.
I am fully Turkish. But both my mom and dad actually their ancestors come from somewhere else. So my mom having a Greek background, and my dad is a Turkish Sephardic Jew. So his family actually originated from half of it from Portugal, the other half from Spain, something like 600 years ago. So the reason why we're Turkish and we're from like Anatolia is because on both sides that's where they've been for hundreds of years. So, but it's interesting. It was interesting to grow up in that kind of family, especially in Turkey, just because, first of all, you're a minority. And beyond the minority, my parents were very open, and I don't know what's the best word for it. I don't want to say Western. They were just really modern in a way of communication and the things we got to do. My sister having boyfriends from early on, and when she's 16, her boyfriend would come and stay at ours and stuff. And like for a Turkish family, this is like it's like another planet for most of them. So I grew up in a interesting family because I feel like when people say they're Turkish, there's a very general norm of a specific type of Turk, which is not necessarily the case.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the beauty on that I wanna discover with these like interviews. It's these nuances of differences and what makes you. It's because we're from and the background that we have. But so let's jump on so did you grow up until what age in Turkey, and
Yeah,
when
yeah,
did
yeah.
you
Oh, sorry.
No,
I'll
that's
give
fine.
the background. So yeah, I spent my first 18 years in Istanbul. So I grew up in Istanbul.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I went to a private school, but my lifestyle outside of the private school was very much similar with like a normal Turk. So like after school, I would go um to like these student areas, go to a shisha bar, work at a shisha bar, then go have like beers and drinks with my friends, age whatever, 17, 16 even sometimes.
Mm.
And like I always had like older friends from early on, I guess. Then I moved to Scotland for university once I was finished. And it was always, for me, it was always like where I was going to study abroad. I never thought about going to university in Turkey. For me, especially having like a Jewish family. So I have family in Sweden, America, Israel, UK, just basically all around the world. And I from early on we traveled, and so seeing abroad, it was always, even in a good scenario, that Turkish economy was amazing, which it was in the past.
Mm-hmm.
It was still for me like, where am I gonna live abroad? So early on, that was like that. So adapting to Scotland was quite easy for me, even when I was 18. Um,
How
yeah,
was
for you.
how was the first impact how was the decision of moving? Was it hard and or it was really welcomed by your family and by you, and that's something that you wanted to do? And how was the first impact of being in Scotland?
My parents really wanted me to go. Not that like obviously they were gonna miss me, but my sister was already in UK studying, and I
Hmm.
think it was more that um my parents always believed that us studying abroad, even if we were in a great university in Turkey, uh, the opportunities we would get after, so that we can live abroad or experience it. It was always like their not aim, but that's kind of what they influenced us growing up. And we had
Hmm.
both me and my sister, we didn't have any problem with that, to be honest.
Hmm.
So going there, I had a surgery right before I went. It was a
Okay.
tough one. Like they took my lymph out because they thought I had like lymph cancer, which in the end it was infection. Like, but I was maybe like 5 days before I went to Scotland. So like the
Okay.
first couple of
Great.
months, it wasn't great. I was on like high antibiotics and whatever. So um, but I don't know. I never had like a I don't know. I never felt like I couldn't do it, or it was like a huge cultural shock.
Hmm.
It was more of what I expected, basically. Like I really enjoyed Scotland. Scottish people are the nicest people. And like living there for 4 years, not having seeing any problems or issues, like that's another thing. Turkey means like every day there's just shit news, either political, economical, people killing people, doesn't matter. Like, even though let's say the crime rate isn't that high, it's just like the it's a bit more chaotic compared to somewhere like Scotland. So
Yeah.
when I went back, and I had to go back because back then they didn't let university graduates in UK to stay there another 2 years and be able to work and stuff. So
Hmm.
that literally came a year after I had to go back because I was done with uni. Um, at the same time, my dad became a Spanish citizen because of Sephardic Jew situation. 2019, I also applied. So the aim was like, oh, okay, well, if I receive my Spanish citizenship, I can go live in UK with Lucy. And that was the plan to get back. And just more and more, it proved that like Spanish government is unreliable in providing these citizenships because half of the government doesn't really want to do it anyway. It was more of a king's decision.
Mm.
So I still don't have it. So during that time, I kind of slowly more realized that, okay, you know what? It's up to me to leave here. Like I'm not gonna rely on um things that might come to me. Instead, I'm just gonna go and get it myself. So I really focused on like my job there for 3 years. I changed two companies, and I just like got promoted really, really quickly. Um, yeah, just worked my can I swear? Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah.
I worked my ass off basically to be able to get into that position of now, especially with my last job. Right now, if I want to find a job in my sector or in my position in America, in UK, doesn't matter. I know it won't take more than maybe a month or two.
Mm.
Like now I'm in that state, but to be able to that, I
You
it
had to, yeah,
yeah, I just made sure that now on it's not up to governments or like where
anybody
my
else.
background is, where my family's from. Like I don't want to rely on these things anymore just because every time I tried something, like I don't know if it's karma or whatever, like the world threw shit back at me. Even like I had a signed contract to come here with my company, like
Hmm.
a really, really good pay. So it wasn't like, it wasn't like someone was hiring me to cut doner at their doner shop to be able to come to Germany. It was like it was a good position to be. And they took 5 months to provide my visa. So they like made sure the company like basically change their decision of not hiring me. Luckily, the company waited for me for 5 months. So that position should have been filled like 5 months ago.
You
So
you you you're lucky with 5 months. Armenia had to wait for like almost a year. Like
yeah.
actually, like almost it was like only a few weeks before it was a year. She applied, and it took 1 year to get the visa, and the job that she had to that they decided to sponsor her. It was so good that they waited for that long, because then she did not have, like, it was complete, and it was really upsetting because people, they did not care, and they people, I mean, people that they're in the offices and doing those practices,
Mhm.
they are looking at papers, but those papers are reflecting a life. Like it's like it's a person. And
Mhm.
there was this case of this lady that I got so upset. She literally like start. She took all the papers that she Armenia presented, and then she said, "Yeah, it's fine, it's fine. We will contact you when to come back." And Armenia, obviously, the first time that we do this, like we don't know how long it will take. We
Mhm.
waited weeks, a month, and then she was like, it's weird that they're not coming back. It's taking too long. So she went back there and asked what's happening. And basically, this lady took the paper but did not start any process and left. And she left the job. So nobody knew that was this file to start. So the whole month, nothing was happening. Like Armenia was waiting for no reason because nothing was processing. And it's so upsetting because they don't realize that's a person, and she could lose the job, which means she did not have visa now and she could not stay here, and then it was the
Mhm.
whole situation. So yeah, I'm glad that it took 5 months, and even then it's so annoying. And I
I've been
understand.
to the
Yeah.
consulate like 6, 7 times. You can't really enter, so you need to make like basically reasons. And my fight was also with why mine took forever was my university in UK after uh, Brexit happened, they forgot to sign up to the registry that like to make the make the university recognized in Europe or
They
in the
forgot.
European Union. I mean, not just my university. There were tons and tons of British universities who didn't do that basically at that point. So they were like, we can't recognize your whatever BA with honor degree, which was ridiculous because there was like hundreds of people at my school working in Europe at that time. I was providing like, okay, so like this is all the people I've been like the rule said that my university should be recognized in the registry within the years that I have graduated in, which it was before Brexit. I
Mm.
went with all these things and nope, you need to provide this document. You need to apply here, which takes another 3 months and whatever. So I went on a war with my school to like provide this thing and fix this stuff for me. Like I yeah, I made a shitstorm. I was like, I'm gonna sue for every penny that I went for school for. Like I was going insane just because you're under so much stress that like
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this moment for 4 years and fuck your school. Like I paid, my parents paid a ton of fucking money for you, and you can't even provide me like work thing
Yeah,
in
and then they
Germany.
forgot to register, and
Yeah,
I feel like the whole Brexit situation is just it was just a shit show. Nobody knew what to do and how to do, and they just went for it without even having a plan, which made life hard for everybody, English
yeah.
people and outsider. Like it was just, yeah, insane. Um, but okay, where were we on your story? Yeah. Um, you finished university, and did you jump? Did you move straight away from Scottish to Berlin, where you are now, or?
No, I went back to Istanbul. Basically, all
Oh
my
yeah, yeah,
most
yeah.
of my career
You
was
said
actually in Istanbul.
yeah,
It was um it was just like I was just trying to get um some point in my career that like it's so good enough that like anyone abroad would be like, oh, okay, like should we consider this guy? So that was the aim. I worked for like big companies, always like corporate stuff, but worked for pennies compared to what I'm earning now. And it's because of the currency exchange as well and whatever.
mm,
So it was like a long struggle to come here. So like for example, that was interesting when Lucy was saying like, then one in Berlin, or like Lucy has that privilege to be able to do that. And I guess at that point, I was ready to go to anywhere that provided me a good salary in euro or pound or whatever, right? Like
yeah,
my standards went quite low at that point just because that was like for 4 years that was what I had to go through. So it's like different scenarios. So nevertheless, even if Berlin had zombies at night, I think I would have been here. Like, okay, I am exaggerating, but
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
that's how I felt, how I was in Istanbul. Not that I didn't have a good life. Like I was still living with my parents because
You
Istanbul was
couldn't,
so expensive. There was like, yeah, the salaries never kept up with the inflation, and yeah, so it was
yeah.
like a nice prison essentially.
Same situation. If I had to be in Italy, it's you don't leave your home until you are married, or if you can afford the, and it's because the salary they never really kept up with the
Inflation.
yeah, with inflation and with the whole like going forward, but then the money still stays the same. And then obviously it doesn't create a good scenario for like young people. And one of the reasons when I was like, why am I here? Like, why do I have to be here? I don't need to be here. Ciao. Like I'm going. Like I don't need to suffer um for this. Like why? You didn't provide anything for me. Like why should I do anything for you? Which is sad because then you find though all these like crazy numbers of young people leaving the countries, but there are reasons why those young people leave the country. It's because they are not recognized, and even if they have three diplomas or 3 degrees and five or whatever experience, 5 years experience, they doesn't matter. They really doesn't matter. Like those, it's so upsetting. Um, and that was your situation in Istanbul. So your plan was never to, once you went back from Scotland to Istanbul, was never to stay in Turkey. You always wanted
I
to.
never meant to go back.
Mm.
I
So you
think
had.
like I shouldn't have gone back is a
Mm.
better opinion, but like I didn't know how to. I guess I guess I just didn't overly trust in myself there yet because my grades weren't the best as well,
Mm.
and I guess I never thought like if I applied there and then, which to be honest, it kind of proved itself. I'm not gonna lie. Like after seeing what I have, like to get your first job is the hardest step in your career, just
Mm.
because no one really fully trusts on you. There's so many people similar to you. There's nothing you can really show until someone trusts you uh, to show
to
your skill
to
set.
give that first push.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
first after the first push, depending how good you do, and your second job, and now my third job, now I'm easy. Like I don't need to prove anything. Today I can look for another job. Next month I'll be on another job, and I trust it that much at this point.
Mm.
But until that situation, someone needs to give you the first chance.
Mm. It's interesting because I'm kind of experiencing that now, which is kind of late in my life because I just started doing what I really wanted to do for forever now. And before it was always kind of easy because it was a like manual labor. It was always like something that people you don't really need to have any experience. It was like hospitality, so it's always been kind of easy for me to find that kind of jobs. And as you said before, for me the standards were low because of where I'm from. I used to work before leaving. The money that I made away for me to be able to leave Italy was I used to work when I was 17, 16, 17 to this kind of big company, like giving like flyers, but it wasn't like a normal just you have a little pack, like a pack of flyers and you give away. It was like you had like cart of like 20 kilos of flyers and you go through the city and give the whole like give flyers. And I used to start 6 in the morning because you have to kind of get ahead of people leaving the house and jobs, and used to come back because sometimes we had to leave the hometown and go somewhere else, other cities, and come back 6 in the afternoon. So it was like this long hard shift, and it was 23 euro per day in cash. So I was doing that, and people around me were like, "Oh, you're getting 23," like as wow, like you're getting a lot. And so, and then I left Italy, and that was my standard. Like I was happy to get paid anything. And then I started working in I traveled around. I was in Malta for a few months, and then once I was in the UK, where I was actually like working, and I got to the point that I was working like 60 hours, 50 hours a week, but I was getting almost 3K as a waiter or as a bartender a month. Like my mind exploded, and I was like, this is like, wait, what? What's happening here? Like I could not believe that I was getting paid that much. I was working every single second on my life, but I was getting paid for it. Like, and I was okay. This is great. I'm put everything aside. In like I'm saving, and for me, this is insane. So yeah, as you the standard were low, and you make me remind of this. Yeah, it was. It's,
I'll match your salary. So when I first started, I think I was making around 800 to 900 euros. Okay. So, and 3 years of working after, the Turkish economy went so bad that by the time I was promoted once with 100% raise, and then got another raise, whatever, and in 3 years, I was earning about £10 a day
it's insane.
after 8 hours of work a day. Bear in mind, I'm working on $1 million projects with people all around the world who are making probably 3, 4, 5K a month on doing the same job that I was doing. And I was earning 300 to 400 pounds. It really changed within the day. That's how shitty it was. And I
It's
did this
crazy.
for a year. And
Yeah.
like,
It's insane because it's so funny when I say stuff like that, when I talk about this is Italy. Like it's nice. Everybody goes to Italy and loves Italy because oh, it is beautiful, it's sunny, and the food is amazing. And I'm like, yeah, guys, it is nice for a holiday, as I was saying to Lucy, but living, it's a different beast. You have this like there are so many people living like actual like families living on 800, 900 if they're lucky euro per month. And when I say that story of the me giving the flyers again paid 23 euro per day for that shift, people they Alicia, I had to convince people that I was doing that. Like they did not believe me. And it's insane to think that it's still that like, it's still happening. It's nothing changed. 10 years, nothing really changed. Still happening. It's no now that, you know what's funny? It's in Italy, it's one of the country in Europe that we don't have a minimum wage. We don't have it. Like you don't have now. They're kind of fighting for it. Like by
They need to
2023.
set limits, right? They need to set the bare minimum limits.
Yeah, that's what I want to do now, which I think it's around €9.50 they are talking, which is even still low, but it's a minimum. Like yeah, until then it's illegal. But we technically still don't have it. It's 2023. We don't have a minimum wage. It's insane. It's so insane. It's crazy to think about these things. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's Italy. And yeah, your experience is pretty similar to what I had to do.
It just felt like, it's hard, really, it becomes so hard to put in all your effort when you're getting so little, yet like trying to convince yourself, no, no, do this and your next job will be abroad and this, but like it was a full-on mental challenge, especially being away from Lucy as well. That was the hardest part. Like for
Hmm.
5 years we did long distance, where 4 years of it was I was in Istanbul. And like I was just, it was like quite a during COVID. I didn't take a single holiday. Like I work the whole time from home, especially in the beginning of COVID, like non-stop, and it paid off. But like, if you ask me now, I'd never do that again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. If it works out, it's great. If it doesn't work out, you're like,
yeah,
fucking hell. It's like why?
yeah,
Um, yeah, I feel like you really have a similar way of saying that I do with my own country. Because sharing those experience it's it's funny it's funny to talk about these things, and people they don't believe, and it's really difficult, especially in England. It's so the high, even if people complains about like how much they get paid and stuff, how much they work, which is true. They most of the time you find those cases in they work too much, especially in offices. They work too much and they get paid nothing. um but unless unless you have a standard that you
yeah,
cannot get under, and it's difficult for them to comprehend that there are Western, which apparently is supposed to be, the better sides of the world, the Western country that have these situations, and young people. I feel like every year in Italy, the young people leaving the country, it's increasing every year, increasing every year. And the fact, and that, which creates all sort of problems, because then you don't have young people working, and they don't have people that pay taxes, which they don't pay pensions. It's all like a chain. And the fact they don't realize this, and this is happening like now, and they are not changing anything. um it's such a well, yeah it's such a corrupt system
mhm.
that um it's never gonna change. It's so sad,
The-
because I should not be pushed, which even if I always wanted to live, I should not be able to think like that. Like that's my country, that I should be happy to be in my country. And I'm not. I don't want to go back to Italy, even for holidays. I'm like, why? I don't want to give you money. Like I want to go. I prefer going to Turkey and see and experience cultural differences, and go to Spain or Malaysia or whatever it is. I just don't want to come back to you.
And I never even thought about the political aspects as well. Like towards the end, the political aspects were dead for me. It was all like economical, but like, also those standards, like having some freedom on that end. Like Turkey became a full-on totalitarian, hardcore country now, especially. But hopefully there's the elections in a couple of months, so that might change this time. But it's like I don't want to live in that stress neither.
Yeah,
That was it. Like I want to live somewhere stress-free. And Berlin for me, it's quite stress-free.
yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Okay, let's jump on that. When did you moved? I'm guessing you moved together with Lucy, right?
A bit,
Kind.
yeah, like 20-day difference, something
Okay.
like that.
So when did you decide to move? Why did you decide to move? Why Berlin? And yeah.
My
Oh,
friend encouraged me to come here because he said, like, within our industry, there's like a very open need here, and that I can also work in English, and it would have been much easier than UK. And that's the thing with UK. Like, sometimes you do get somewhere with the company. It's just when the company needs to take that next step of providing that visa, like that work visa, that's when a lot of people hesitate because, and I think that hesitation also comes with they don't know how well you will prove. So essentially, more you go in your career, they know more that you will prove. So then they rely on that more. But I think Berlin was in, or Germany was in so much need of it already. They didn't really. And when I say Berlin, I don't mean the government, like the companies you apply to.
mm,
There's really in my sector, it's hard to hire people. There's not enough good candidates. I've seen that, and different jobs as well, like developers. I don't know, I'm a product manager, like in different parts of it, because it's a niche market. You don't study for it. If someone gets into that part of the digital marketing, it's it's a very under sourced sector, which I'm kind of eating the fruits of it essentially. I'm
mm,
not saying this is the same for all my friends because I have really good, smart friends from Turkey who he did his master's in Delft. He's a architect, great person, very disciplined, everything fantastic, but he's struggling to find a job because, well, there are too many architects,
mm.
essentially. Like, I
Yeah.
think on that end, I was lucky. That's why I feel like I trust now that I don't have that fear of what will happen next.
Did you have that fear because where you're from and how you were thinking before, and
Yeah.
then the fact that you one of my fear, one of the like the struggle, the real struggle that I have, it's I have little money. Now, I'm not rich, but all these savings that I have, that we have, because it's together, we're doing everything together now. But every single little money that I have that fear of it will not be there. Like I grew how can I explain this? It's so I grew up not poor to the extent that I could not eat, but it was pretty rough at some point because for example we had to leave the house. We were not be able to be in the apartment. I remember the day that my dad had to tell us that we been evicted and we could not be there anymore, and that was the house where we grew up, and all the sentimental and all the things. So it was really tough, and then we kind of like moved. It really connected as a family going through that experience, because it was one of the toughest moment as a family that you can have when your dad tell you that you don't have a house anymore. It's pretty tough. So I struggled in growing up, but when I moved to the UK or whatever, when I was traveling, I started seeing money and saving every single penny that I could. I had my joys, my experience. I traveled. I did holidays, so it's not that I was not living a nice life because I was saving everything. But at the same time, my fear of losing money that's one of my thing, like my struggle that I still have here now. Um, it's
Yeah,
it's
I
because
understand that.
where I'm from and how I grew up, and um, so it's obviously it's all connected to that. Is that the same kind of thing for you?
Okay, my parents lived in a way that it would seem from anyone else from outside that we are like quite comfortable and can go on holidays and whatever. My parents were really shit at saving money.
Hmm.
My dad would earn quite a lot of money, but most of it went to private schools and then universities in UK and whatever. It was because like in Turkey, there's no way you do government school and find yourself, I don't know, in Glasgow School of Art, right? It just doesn't work that way. So you need to be at a private school, and to have that chance, you focus on other things like English exams and blah, 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 whatever. So it's like a different route, but it comes costly. And what my parents thought was like, we need to make sure that they are ready for the world, even though we're not probably leaving them a lot, some property, which was nice. Which is nice, I guess, but it's just, so like it was weird. Like sometimes there was no cash flow. I remember times like, um, I remember times where we had probably just like eggs, bread, and like breakfast style dinners, just because at that point my dad lost his job. It was like a couple of years he couldn't find something, and
Yeah. It does, yeah, those times, yeah, they're there, and it really changed your perspective on
money.
the way of, yeah, or the way you see
Yeah.
money. It's
That's why I save very well compared to my parents. I I'm good with money. I still spend, which I got from my parents. So I still buy stuff and like enjoy myself, but I'm a lot better than them. And for me, it's the same scare. I don't want to wake up to a point where I want to know that if anything happens, at least for a good period amount of time, I want to be able to afford food and whatever.
yeah.
Like, that kind of gives me a little bit stress free. We're living in a way that like you can see zero and then some number. Like seeing zero is very scary for me.
Oof.
So I understand.
Yeah. It's when you talk to people and you're like, oh, I don't have any money, and you're like, ha ha ha, and then they actually mean it. Like, and
Yeah,
you're like, wait, you're an adult. Why you don't have any money? What are you doing? Like,
yeah,
save some money. What are you doing? Like, that would be so stressful for me to live like that. It's
yeah.
crazy. Um, and yeah, it's that one of the my to be honest, one of my proudest thing that I can say, it's that um I never asked money to my parents, and even if maybe sometimes I needed when I was traveling, when I was away, when I was living abroad, but the fact that I was able to manage myself and do everything money wise by myself, and not asking money to my parents, because I knew if I ask money they will give it to me, but I knew that I was taking some really important money from that because they need it. So yeah, that's one of my proudest thing that I can say, well, aloud, to be honest. And yeah. So yeah, let's talk about your impression, experience of moving to Berlin,
Mhm.
um and experience Berlin as an immigrant, as an outsider. And if you ever felt like that, what was your impact?
Oh, yeah, that's a quite interesting actually. Um, so there's a lot of Turkish people here. Like
Mm,
as obviously, as you know, you mentioned you have your friends and whatever. And when I was in Scotland, it was the good part of especially being in an art school, there was no other Turkish person. You're a lot more exotic for a lot of people to listen to and be interested in. So like you kind of get that attention of, oh, like his culture is different, so people want to hear it. Over here, I personally even hesitate to like like comfortable, like over happily say I'm Turkish, just because I know not a next question is coming. Like Lucy said the same thing. It's like the general norm is if you say you're Turkish, you're from Germany, you're just a German Turk, like any other whatever. And like Istanbul Turks and German Turks are very, very different. Like like culturally, obviously there are similar things, the way they live. Um, so for example, Istanbul and Izmir, they'll be looking more towards like Western Europe, where German Turks have that discipline of a German, but the way their culture is very like for example, it's very Eastern Turkish culture, where I'm not talking about the food or whatever. It's more about like mentality is very different.
mm.
So that's another thing. Like Turkish people are different within themselves, and I think the expectation is like, oh, doner kebab, oh, kebab, blah blah. Like there's so much more to Turkey.
Yeah.
The Germans don't necessarily fully know yet here. So in that end, I'm very happy that I'm here, but I think actually talk in a way that I'm like more Sephardic Jewish. My mom is like more Greek and whatever, because I think I personally value those things as well. But I also know that like saying Turkish doesn't really interest people here.
Mm.
But I mean, I haven't seen like racism or whatever. Like I'm in a very multicultural company, so the people I'm exposed to are like basically the same as the people I studied with in an art school. Like, no racism. It's very like that's what I love about Berlin. It's like a very equal culture. Like people are not overdressed. No one needs to be showy. Everyone like just wants a good quality life with not necessarily like gluttony. And I love that. I love that here.
Mm. It's
Turkish
true.
people are not
Yeah.
like that. Like you earn money, you need to show it. Yeah, like you need to live in a specific way. Where Germans can, like, or Berliners can like just dress up casually, and you wouldn't know if that guy's a millionaire or that guy is like working a regular job. It's
Mm.
you don't really know. I like that. I like living like that.
Mm. That's true. It's true. Yeah. I see that. They're not um flashy, and
Yeah.
it's not in their culture. Where it's coming from south of Italy, it's not like that. You have money, people that have money, like they show it, even if they go in debt to show that money. But yeah, they pretend to have all this money. Um, but okay, that's great to hear that it's experiences all this cultural here. It's really really nice, and you really find people, especially being an immigrant, you find straight away other people that like you're coming from your similar background.
Mhm.
The fact they're not from here, and they're not German and or English if you yeah when you move to England. um it's super multicultural city, which is great. Kind of makes you welcoming. But you said something that it's really interesting, that you are not really looking for like a Turkish community to have around you. If it happens, if or you're like yeah similar with me. It's um Italian can be a lot. Let's put it like that. So I remember when I was in England, I lived in Bristol, so it's not small, but it's not that big as a city. And at some point I knew every single Italian in Bristol, in the UK, and I had to take the decision to be like, I don't want to do this. Like this is not this is not helpful for me. Like
Yeah.
I'm speaking Italian in England, it doesn't make no sense. Like I don't want to have this connection with Italy. Um, it's why do you think is that for you? It's because to like as you said, Turkish German people are like they're similar to your culture, or it's just
I think I'm the same in everything, like my career, the way in life is like I do tend to be bored of something after a while, or just like my tendencies are if I'm eating something, if I really like eating something, I will eat it until I'm so bored of it that I give a break to it. So it's
Mm,
like that's actually how I move. Like my friends here now are very different than the friends I had in Istanbul or the friends I had in Scotland. And like as I go, obviously they're my friends. I sometimes I do talk to them and whatever, but like I truly very quickly adapt of like, okay, so this is my surroundings now. So I'm gonna make my own thing around me now. So I don't look at it as like, okay, I had a Turkish friend who had these characteristics, so I should go find one in Berlin. And I guess I'm also hesitant to um to show a Turkish person
Mm.
fully of like how open I am about like, you know, whatever people's genders and gay people or whatever, like doesn't matter. Like I'm quite like a relaxed person. I don't have like these general norms that most of the Turkish people do. I know in Germany they're very like people, a lot of Turkish people like me as well, and I do befriend them. I guess I've never asked this until you asked me. Actually,
Yeah.
I never asked this to myself why I do that. I guess I get more interested by different cultures rather than talking about the same. I have a friend here, like a really close friend from Istanbul who lives like 5 minutes away from me. So that kind of just does it for me. I don't
Mm.
search it after.
Yeah, it's I really I know people and Italian they told me that those are the only people they wanna be they're looking for, like they are Italian, they wanna be with Italians, they wanna spend their time, the extra time, the free time with other Italians because they feel like it's easy for them to talk to, and I never really had that. It's really I don't know why. I really don't know why. It's obviously that kind of community. It's the first one that you encounter. Even here in Berlin, the first time, um one one of my I was working in the gallery, and the second job that I was doing the first year, it was in restaurants, and because it was easy for me to find a job in hospitality, and I just ended up working in an Italian restaurant. So I made all Italians friends there, which are great. I really like them. They are as well. They are different as well from English Italian friends, which is even another. Yeah, it's so weird. But that's the first community that you can get involved to. It's your home country because you have similar experience, and you're from the same country, so you can talk about your country. And you can get really sucked into that thing and not move on and not experience other people, which is kind of sad because then I don't find people like you, and then I don't find people like differently than me that can make me grow in many ways. So yeah, really similar way of thinking on this. Um, is that do you think that was because the relationship that you have with like Turkeys, or and then reflects on the people, or is
I
just
love Turkey. I love going around in Turkey. I love Istanbul. I love I love everything about it. It's just, oh, okay. When I say everything about it, like I mean
yeah, yeah.
geopolitically, like what you see and what you experience, I love it. I think I just don't like the unreliability.
Mm,
Like that
yeah.
was another thing. Like I seen that I couldn't even focus on my job because all we were focusing on is like how much money am I actually making this month? Because
Mm,
that's how like, and when you're in an environment like that, you don't know what's gonna happen, if Turkey's gonna go in a shithole in 10 years or in a good place and whatever. Like living through that stress was the part because I was like, how do people live with this much stress all the time? It's not like it's not acceptable,
mm,
especially like you put in so many years and like you're doing what you're technically supposed to, right? So then when you're in that situation, that was the part for me. Like that's the only thing about Turkey that bothers me. Other than that, I wish Turkey was such a good place that I could have said, Lucy, you know what, while I wait for my Spanish, why don't you come to Turkey? You work here, I work here, we get a nice place because
yeah.
I have a really good position here that pays really well. You know what I mean? Like why couldn't I think of these things? Basically, that's what it became to. In 4 or 5 years, you started to think about like, okay, even if I become the CEO of this company right now, I will not be able to afford shit here. Most likely,
It's
especially if you
yeah,
get because like it was the same with my dad. Like, yeah, you pay and whatever, but then you have nothing for the future because it's like Turkey is expensive. It comes costly.
yeah. Yeah. Is that so? Do you think What's your expectation of this new life in a way in that you have here in Berlin? What do you expect that what stuff that do you think that happen is going to happen? And like because you're working hard, do you think um there will you will get rewards and so what was your expectations?
I don't expect rewards. I seek for them myself. That's what I've learned in Turkey. No one appreciates you and then gets you to that next level. You like they either give you that level and or you leave and you go somewhere else for it. Like I don't I don't trust governments. I don't trust necessarily companies, whatever. I trust in people. That's what I learned. The good part is just make sure you have people that want the best for you around. And this can be your boss or whatever. If your boss is shit, then,
Yeah,
whatever. Find another value to stay there or
move.
move on to somewhere else. I don't get attached to these things. So I think that's the good part. So what's next for me is I think my aim is for a couple of years, jump as fast as I can to as high as I can so that I put some money in my pocket and I get into something of my own and work on it for like 10 years, whatever stages that it's at, sell it off, spend time, uh, and retire early, hopefully. I mean, this is all obviously
A
like
dream come yeah.
a dream campaign, but if it happens, to retire early. So when I'm 40 and my kids are 6, 7, whatever, or 5, I don't know. I wanna be there for them. And the last thing I want to be thinking about is like how much money I'm making that
Yeah.
month. I don't care about like money in that sense. I just want to be able to know that okay, I'm gonna take my kids to holidays. I'm gonna take my partner, my wife to holidays, or she can take me. It doesn't matter. It's the like I want to be able to not stress out how my parents stressed out about money.
That's yeah, that's really relatable. And do you, I really feel like that I was gonna ask you what I asked you to Lucy before. What's your most proudest thing that you managed to do as an immigrant outside and working by yourself? And I feel like talking to you, you're really career oriented and you're really proud of where you got because it was only on you and you did by yourself and you worked really hard to get there. And I feel like the career and where you are right now, it's something that you're really proud of. And I can feel that. So yeah, I was gonna ask that, but yeah, I think that's the answer.
The best part, yeah, the best part is that I got here by myself. Okay, to be honest, my first job, I had some help from my mom's friend because I couldn't find what I was looking for a year. So I in the end like kind of had that first push. But after that, I got nothing. Got no help. Most of the time, my bosses didn't like become good coaches in any way. It was always up to me to understand the business myself and get them to a point where they weren't working properly because I would be doing their job as well. So like that was that was like the first experience. So from there on, doing the shitty job of the company, everyone's asking you literally anything, and you just need to do it. And all from there to now be able to say, I'm not doing this. I would like to do this. Is yes, that's what I'm proud of. Not the money I'm making.
Yeah, no, it's not about the money. I can feel it's not. Um, and you were saying that the first job you had this push. I always say to people that even if you have all the help in the world to get where you are right now, if you have all the help to start to continue, if you don't do anything with it, it doesn't go anywhere. So
Yeah.
if you had that push at the beginning with your friend's mom or whatever it was, um it really doesn't matter. It was up to you to take the opportunity. You just see an opportunity and you took it, and then you did something with it. So it was a help, yes, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that was because you're here or wait, yeah, it really does not matter. So if you are proud of that, be proud of your career, because if, yeah, as you said, it's you did everything yourself and you pushed through, and why not? Yeah, why not? You don't have to be. So yeah.
Can I add one thing to it? And
Sure.
I think this is more on the personal side. It was also that proudness came with at when I was in high school, I was my parents were called to school saying that we don't know what we will do with Khan. Like we don't know if he can get into university. There's like always negative things. The whole school education structure makes you feel like you're just an average person that's gonna have an average life, and like all these things they teach you from early on, like don't dream big and whatever. I know this is gonna sound like those YouTubers like sponsored video things,
Motivational speaker.
motivation, but it's true that like that's the way education was for me, and that's where the way they made me feel until I went to a really good university. um you know, whatever, I valued what I've studied, and then I did very well with my career. So now I really know that this is all fucking bullshit. It's just they're just, well, not bullshit in a way. Okay, I get the discipline. I get, like, obviously there are values to it. It's just the bullshit part is they're not encouraging people. The world is truly raising people not to overstep where they are, and I can see that in my career as well. A lot of people expect things to be already there. I have friends who like leave jobs because like there's not a proper structure here. Like fucking make the structure then. You know,
Yeah.
like that's the way I see it. And I feel like the school makes us in that way. It's like, okay, this is your job. This is how you do your job. Just think about your job. Don't do anything else. Don't think how to make your job better or whatever. And that was my experience. I bet there are different schools with different experiences, but that's the experience they gave me. So that's where the proudness comes from. A lot of people saying you can't do shit, you can't do that, whatever. Well, I'm sorry, I'm gonna swear. Look at me, bitch. I'm like, okay. I know right now that I'm making probably more money than anyone I've studied with out of that 120 people I was with. So it has nothing to do with whatever grade you got and etc.
No.
Because they really get disappointed in life because they were told they're going to be amazing, and then when they can't do something, then they're very upset. So my where I was here. So anything was to go up for me.
Mm.
For them, they were here and they just realized like shit. I should have been here, but I was feeling there.
Yeah,
So
I,
it was,
I have a few people that I'm waiting to be to do the same,
yeah.
to the same thing. It's yeah, it's especially coming from a certain situation, and then you in Italy there is not really that much of the difference in between. You really end up being friends with people economically really different from you. There is not that much distance, and I feel like, for example, in America there could be it's so if you're poor you have poor friends or something like that. In Italy there is not really that. It's you end up having friends with really lot of money, or or they are poor. And I always was I had both of them, and some privileged people that were from good money, um they had that way of thinking and in school and everything, and they were not happy. um yeah, they were not happy for me to kind of have these little success. And when I speak to them now, and um, then I'm proud what I did and what I do. It's because I'm really searching for the right path. Because even my situation is a bit different because I'm an artist, and I work in galleries, so it's there is no really a structured path that nobody really knows how to do this. And it kind of happens if it happens. Uh, but at the same time, if you don't make it happen, it will not happen.
Yeah.
So whatever little success that I had, they happened because I made it happen. So yeah, then that's that proudness of from nothing to something. It's great. It's the joy, and the fact that there are people they don't have um. I was really thinking about this well, it was a couple of days ago. They don't have how what was the word um aim, like they don't have a goal. There are people that just waking up and just get into a routine and not really have a goal and bigger than what they are. And for me, I think it's insane because where do you find like the push, the energy to do more and to do better for your life? It's I found really difficult to see people living like that, and it's strange for me. The you don't have goals, you don't have, yeah, you know what I mean? It's yeah.
I think it's because those people, I'm not saying like they had a rich life. I think right the opposite. I think when you see a life so stable, right, in such a strict line, and if
Mm,
this is, let's say, I don't know what, give me a senior engineer, right? Okay, so you're not like the company owner, and you're not like cleaning the streets, like cleaning trash or
mm,
whatever. You're in a good place and you stay there for the rest of your time. You have a kid, your kid sees you, like you can afford life and food to some extent, but obviously not to some rich extent and whatever. I think when people have those mundane lives, if they don't have that like
up and down.
up and down roller coaster, I think they just tend to stay like that. Like, why change? Like this is how your parents been. This is how
Yeah,
you can do it quite easily. I have a
yeah.
lot of friends like that, as I mentioned. I guess that's not what I am. Like, I get so bored so quickly. So like for me, it's like I think I'm an efficient worker just because I get bored so quickly. So like I want to finish something,
To move
but
on.
as efficiently as
Mm,
possible. And that
mm,
means like with less energy or whatever. So I think it's a good way of thinking, but it also makes me want to feel like, okay, I want to retire early. I'm definitely not doing this 9 to 6 shit for the rest of my life. Like,
mm.
okay, I'm happy now, but I know that I won't do this for the rest of my life. So that's the feeling I get, because my parents were wild. Like
Mm.
they had a up and
Yeah,
down
goes up and down, and
lifestyle.
they teach you in a second hand how to do it. What do you let's finish on this one. What because yeah, it's going I
Yeah,
feel like we
sorry.
can talk for like forever about this. um what do you think being an immigrant is, if you can point out?
I feel like when people say immigrants, I think there's that just one expectation of, like I feel like Western countries also, like Europe, whatever, they give fancy words of, so there's immigrant and there's expat.
Yeah.
Like expat is automatically an immigrant, but expat means like shit, he's bringing some like intelligence here, or like some upper class value, or like that's the fancy word that people think about. But obviously all expats are immigrants. I think I have the same feeling when someone says immigrant. It's always accumulated with um wherever you are, the government is there to help you and you can't survive without their help and whatever. No, that's not what I feel like. I don't want to call myself an expat, or like, okay, I'm an immigrant, I guess, within the wording, but like, okay, I hope this is not egoistic. Germany is lucky to have me, not the other way around. I don't feel like that. Maybe in the past I would, but right now, no. Like I'm kind, I help people and whatever. Like I know for a fact that I don't have a bad thing in my blood that's gonna be bad for this country. Politically, economically, socially, it doesn't matter. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have a very clear mind on that. So for me, it's I'm bringing in value. So that's how I feel about being an immigrant here.
That's great.
People should stop accumulating immigrant word with someone that needs help from you, because that's really not fair.
That's not the case, and that's why I want to show with this project, and especially like yeah, doing something that's really important for me, this project, as I said, it's those interviews that I do with people. It's the outcome, the portrait, obviously it's something that helps me for me to bring the message out there and to show people, but the documentation, the interviews are the core of this project, because it shows those people that brings value to the country, and where you're from, whatever country is, whatever country you're from, you bring some values, and it's not, we don't need help. Like, we've been through so many things that we can manage, and we will bring better things in your country. So yeah, that's literally the core of my project, and you put it beautifully in your words. Thank you very much, Kaan. I really I hope to see you and Lucy really soon, and spend have a drink together.
Yeah, let's meet up for sure.
Thank you very much to be part of this project, guys.
Thank you. It felt like a therapy session. It was nice.
Yeah, I know, right? It's great.
Well, have a good Sunday.
You too.
Bye.
Say hi to Lucy as well.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.